So lots of AI model activity. I think if you blinked this week, you'll have missed three new model releases, two flagships launched 20 minutes apart, and then there's some open source juice. What's going on here?
Well, as you said, I mean, it seems like we're going to start in the same place we're going to end potentially, which is kind of the Anthropic OpenAI feud that just heated up to hitherto unseen levels this week. There's sort of the stuff that happened in the gallery, and then there's the stuff that happened on the main stage. And to start with the main stage stuff, as you said yesterday, we had the two flagship models released 20 minutes apart. Anthropic released their new OPUS 4.6. Which, as you'll recall from last year, potentially when 4.5 was released in Q4, it really just blew everybody away as the most incredible thing the world of technology and AI has ever seen. It was the model that converted even some of the holdovers, the naysayers of, no, we're always going to be doing handcrafted coding and we're going to check the code, to basically just resignation. There's no point coding manually anymore. Opus will handle it. Anthropic will handle it. It was just that good.
Well, Darius is big on that, wasn't he? Darius at WF was basically going, most of my coders don't code anymore. They just use the tools.
Exactly. And so many people came out. I mean, you had Andrei Karpathy, kind of one of the original founders of OpenAI, former head of AI at Tesla, coming out and saying, look, it is so good that if I only knew everything I could do with it, I could be 10 times as good as I am. For the first time, there was this feeling that we've been given, godlike powers in our hands, and now the only thing holding us back is really our ability to use the tools. Well, those tools just got an upgrade, and so Opus 4.6 was released yesterday. All the angels were rejoicing. Kind of the whole world of technology was ecstatic, because of course what's been happening is OpenAI captured the world of AI and our imagination 3 years ago with the release of ChatGPT, and Anthropic then came from the back, kind of OpenAI renegade, setting up the competitor, and actually overtook OpenAI in the interim in terms of the enterprise, in terms of coding. And so they released that model yesterday. But OpenAI, within 20 minutes, hit back with a formidable model, GPT 5.3. And so what's really interesting is the way the two models stack up, because the Anthropic model has had incredible advances in reasoning, in knowledge work. It can do new cool things like update PowerPoints, and kind of as your, office, coworker assistant, it's really, really hard to beat. But in on the home turf, what's now become the home turf of coding, there is actually the benchmarks are saying that OpenAI now has pipped Anthropic to release what they're saying is the best model according to the benchmarks. And so this is interesting because Anthropic, of course, now are the incumbent. They're defending the enterprise territory. They're defending the coding territory. And it's going to be really interesting to see, does this mean that OpenAI is going to start taking back some share? And to answer that question, you're going to ask, what's more important, to have the better model or to have the better sort of tooling that sits on top? Because, Anthropic released Claude Code a year ago, and that is really that tool that's taken, the world by storm, and that, one of the reasons why, so many of us use Anthropic's tools so much. Well, OpenAI, they've released their Codex tool to try and compete. And the question is the fact that OpenAI now seem to have a better model when it comes to sort of pure coding benchmarks, will that mean that developers will start switching back to OpenAI and back to the Codex model? Or is the fact that people have become so comfortable now with Anthropic's coding tools, Claude Code, does that mean that kind of the platform is sticky? Now, I'd say I'd personally invested a long time, kind of months in developing kind of workflows and automations and skills for my Claude Code setup. And so it's going to take quite a bit, I think, to flick me over to another paradigm. Now you could say under the covers, you can actually hook up some of the tooling with different models on the back end. And so there's a lot of interesting things that are going to play out here on the chessboard. It's really cool.
This isn't a switch, is it? This is not like your search. You're using ChatGPT as search rather than Google. This is actually your workflow. I think that's a very interesting point. You can't just rip and replace when you've built workflow in a particular toolkit. So maybe this is going to be a little bit more tricksy. I'm surprised that they're going toe to toe. It feels like we're now at this kind of diverging point where with ads in ChatGPT, it feels like OpenAI can go in a very particular direction, and Anthropic can go in another direction. So it feels odd that they're going toe to toe for the coding, for the engineering side. Is that fair?
Well, don't forget, we don't know if the ads will work yet. I mean, I think you've always said, look, as soon as the ads are switched off, are switched on, the users will switch off and go
Yeah,
somewhere else. And that's
yeah.
possibly true. I think we just don't know. We don't know whether it will be a Google-like experience where people have ads and it's sort of fine and we don't mind too much, or whether it will be, or we feel that's intrusive. And we'll come back to intrusion and
Yeah,
betrayal and all those good things
we'll talk
later
about
in the
that in a
show. I
minute.
know you've lined up some good stuff for us. Just a
Yeah,
couple more things I wanted to share on the new model releases. What OpenAI have said is that the GPT 5.3 is the first model that helped build itself. So they say it debugged its own training pipeline. It set up a lot of the own flows that could create the model. So this is really kind of this recursive improvement that we've always been talking about in the lead up to AGI. Now, another thing that's cool is Anthropic. Of course, they've been focusing a lot on model alignment and safety. And they were quick out to say yesterday, their red team, their security team said, we have found more than 500 bugs, kind of serious security issues in open source libraries that we've found and developed patches for, or not we, but OPUS 4.6, the new model. And so the notion of open source was always, look, the whole world can see the code with enough eyeballs, all bugs are shallow. And that means that kind of the whole world can see the bugs, and so coders, somebody will discover the bugs. But Anthropic is saying that their bots do it better. So that was sort of
well,
interesting.
that's why they divorced, isn't that? Was why Darius and Samay divorced in the first place, was security, safety, alignment. I don't know where that leads into, bug finding per se, but it just feels like that's kind of aligned with the part of the reason that Anthropic was set up in the first place.
It's always
So
been Anthropic's assertion that they have the most aligned model. Alignment meaning aligned with what the users want, aligned with the kind of human values, as opposed to just doing something else.
yeah,
Just as a quick aside on the models, I mean, we've had some really cool stuff coming out of China as well. We saw the Kimi K2.5 come out last week. It's performing extremely well. It's close to OPUS 4.5, so last quarter's Anthropic model, but at a fraction of the cost. We've seen the Qwen 3 Max model come out from Alibaba, and actually the benchmarks are saying that's not behind on reasoning at all. Actually, the argument is that's possibly ahead of the Frontier Labs models on reasoning. Again, it's an open source model. So this has just been a formidable few weeks on the AI front.
how much have they borrowed? Do we know the Chinese open source? There are obviously threads showing that there is a little bit of borrowing going on from the foundationals, from the key people. What's going on there?
Yeah, and of course people will say that. I mean, what's the saying from your old industry? Good artists, they borrow, and what is it
Yeah,
about
great artists steal.
Yeah. And so I think the truth is everybody's learning from everybody, but you cannot overtake by copying. And what we are seeing is genuine innovation from the Chinese teams. I mean, we saw the Kimi K2.5 model having these new swarm capabilities. There is a swarm capability built into the new Anthropic models. And with that, I mean the ability for the models to, sort of split out and coordinate the work of many models at once. So you really get a multitude of the performance capability. I mean, there's an argument to say that the Chinese are ahead on the swarming capabilities right now. So it's not just copying. There's certainly unique innovation.
And also it layers down to context then. It's like, what are you using these models for? Do you need these premium top of the range? Because is it fair to say that 4.6 isn't as exciting as 4.5?
Yes, as a step change, I'd say it doesn't feel as big yet. There is it's really just released less than 24 hours ago, so the community is still working out exactly where the hard points and the weak spots are, etc. One of the assertions made by Anthropic is it'll be better at doing agentic things autonomously for longer. And what does that mean? That the whole issue we have with models is context rot, and it is that they drift. So I set them off to do something, and initially, when their context is clean and the instructions are clear, they're really good. But over time, they'll start to lose the direction, And so they can't go for weeks and weeks and weeks. They're kind of going to be reined in. And the memory has to be wiped, and they have to start afresh, almost.
Mm.
And there's
Mm.
an argument here that's being made that, look, this model will go for longer, better than previous models, but we're still so fresh into this, we don't really know yet. I don't know if it's had enough time to use it for that long.
Yeah. I'm still very bullish on the open source. I think that's going to be a really interesting. I think
It's a
the Chinese are doing
massive game changer.
they're doing it. They're doing it so well as well. I was like, whatever you do, we'll just throw this brick in through the sidelines. I love it.